Am I the a-hole for not wanting to get rid of my roommates as per wife's demands? Okay, backstory time. I'm male 34 and my wife female 34 will have been married for 3 years this upcoming December. I own a 2-family house on an acre in central Jersey that I purchased when I was 25. I rent out one side and live in the other. I have 2 spare bedrooms that I also sublet, one to a dear friend of mine male 35 and another to my cousin female 35. I have always rented these rooms, and having the extra income between the rental side and the rooms I rent on my side means the house basically pays for itself mortgage-wise. I have to come out of pocket for utilities such as garbage, electricity, fuel, oil, etc., etc. My monthly cost of living is anywhere from $600–800 handling the aforementioned bills, relatively cheap for New Jersey where a 2-bedroom apartment can run you $25. So now to the issue at hand. My wife wants to get rid of our roommates. As of now she lives for free, absolutely zero cost of living, which has helped her significantly regarding paying down debts, fixing her credit and so on. She's not out of the woods yet, but she's well on her way. I'd say in about another year or so she'll be 100% debt-free. She has expressed in the past that she would like to live alone, but at the time it just wasn't economically feasible for us to do so. She wasn't working. Then COVID happened. Blah blah blah, no big deal, right? Also, I should mention you wouldn't even know we have roommates. Sometimes I go days without bumping into one of them. Anyways, this week she slaps me with an ultimatum out of the blue, that either the roommates move out or she's going to leave me. I stated that I did not think that was the smartest financial move, as she only wants to give them 30 days, which would means we would be looking at having to come up with $16 the following month. Q argument. She states she can afford to make up the difference, and that paying it would be worth being able to live alone together. Am I the a-hole for thinking this is stupid? That giving up almost $20K a year in rental income on the drop of a dime doesn't make any sense, not to mention telling a friend of 22 years as well as my cousin, sorry guys, the wife's giving you 30 days notice, good luck. Furthermore, this income allows us to travel whenever we want, buy whatever we want, go out whenever we want. It basically helps make us very flexible financially. Also, why can't we compromise? Okay, you want them gone, let's stick it out for 1 more year, knock out the rest of your debt, and also give the roomies plenty of notice that this is what we are going to pursue. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop making her daughter fat? Hi everyone, I know weight seems to be a very sensitive topic for obvious reasons, but I swear this is coming from a place of love and concern, not judgment. So I, 24 female, went to visit my older sister, 43 female, and my niece, 7 female, for a month. I haven't seen them in almost a year since I live far. Anyway, when I get there I find my niece looks several pounds heavier than I last saw her. But I don't comment, I'm just happy to see them and spend time with them. Over the few weeks in there I noticed that there's more junk food than there is nutritious food in the house. Then I noticed just how much they order takeout junk. This concerns me as someone who also grew up with parents who didn't prioritize health. I was very overweight all my childhood, and this caused a lot of health issues for me, including asthma. I was out playing with my niece and she couldn't run even 1 minute without wheezing. So I decided to advise my sister on exposing her daughter to a healthier life, not saying she mustn't have her favorite treats but a balance. My sister took offense and I got the whole fat shaming rant. That's in becoming the aunts who used to criticize my body when I was young and overweight. This made me feel like in a whole cause those aunts added to my self-esteem issues as a kid. But I never and would never say that to my niece. I just suggested my sister adjusted her diet habit. Am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend not to learn my native language? My 21 male parents are Indian immigrants, and so when I was young they taught me both English and their native language. I stopped being able to read or write in it due to lack of consistent practice, but can still speak it fluently. Despite that, I honestly prefer English because I've been surrounded by it my whole life, and so am arguably better at it and can express myself more eloquently in English. My girlfriend is white, but half Dutch on her mom's side, so is bilingual as well. My mom recently called me saying my girlfriend texted her asking for resources on how to learn my native language. I asked my girlfriend about it, and she said she wanted to surprise me by learning my native language. I told her that if she wants to learn the language for its own sake, then she should, but if she's doing it on my account, while I really appreciate it, I don't need her to do that. It's a lot of effort. It's a difficult language, with an entirely new alphabet, and it wouldn't really provide any benefit because I prefer to speak in English, and my entire family, my parents, my grandparents, cousins, everybody are all fluent in English too, and wouldn't really care whether she spoke my language or not. So really, it's unnecessary and would be a waste of time. I offered to teach her a few phrases instead that she could use in conversation with my family. She got upset and said I should be more grateful for her efforts instead of shutting them down. This struck me as a bit bizarre, because I never asked or wanted her to do this. Imagine if somebody gives you a gift you never asked for, then gets upset when you politely thank them but aren't crazy about it. This feels the same. I repeated that I was grateful for the thought, And she should do it if she wants to for her own curiosity, but if she's doing it for my sake, I really don't want her to go to all the trouble. She called me the a-hole. Am I the a-hole? Would I be the a-hole for going to the funeral of my ex-GF's brother and missing my sister-in-law's wedding? I, male 25, am in a relationship with Amelia, female 26, since 2 years. She is wonderful, we live together and I think we are close to engagement. In the past, I was in a relationship with Julia, 25, female. We met in high school and had a very passionate relationship for 5 years, but it didn't work. In the end, it got quite heated between us and even with her parents, so we blocked each other. Julia had a brother, Dan, 2 years younger, and we always shared a special bond. Like me, he wanted to become doctor and I helped him with med school. Even after the breakup, we stayed close. Julia and their parents weren't aware. He was definitely very important for me, almost like a younger brother. Unfortunately, Dan had a car crash and died last week. I didn't know until Julia came to my home to announce 2 days ago. I am absolutely devastated. She apologized because she wasn't aware that Dan and I were still close. She also thanked me for being there for him when he was fighting depression and that all her family would like to see me at his funeral. Next Sunday in their hometown, 7 hours drive. I replied that I wasn't sure if I could come, because I'm running low on money at the moment and my car will be at the mechanics. She said she could drive me there, but she had to be there 2 days earlier to help with the organization. I said that I will think about it. We exchanged numbers and hugged. She cried a little and said she was sorry for all the things of the past and was happy to see me again. Amelia came home at this moment, and I explained the situation. When Julia left, she already knew about my past relationship with Julia and my friendship with Dan. Amelia told me that I wouldn't be able to go at the funeral because the wedding of her sister is the same day, and we both agreed to go. I said that I need a bit of time to proceed all that. The following morning, I had a very emotional phone call with Dan and Julia's parent. They apologized for the past and thanked me for being there for Dan, that they would always consider me family from now. They insisted that they'd like to host me for the funeral to save me cost. After reflection, even if it sucks for Amelia and the wedding, I cannot imagine missing Dan's funeral. I talked with my co-residents, the head of unit, and they're okay with me missing a few days and cover for me. When I told my decision to Amelia yesterday, she blowed up and said that I'm a huge to ditch her and her family in favor of my exes. She said that I committed to the wedding and I couldn't leave her alone to reconnect with my ex. We had a big argument and haven't talked much since. I had some messages from her friends and her sister. They said that I'm a major a-hole for abandoning my GF in favor of my ex. I was sure about doing the good choice, but I start to feel bad and second guess myself. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that a comment she made is exactly why her marriage crashed and burned? My sister has been staying with my husband and I, men in our late 20s, for the last week and some change. She and her husband have initiated the divorce process, and she said she doesn't want to stay alone right now, which I completely understand. It would be very hard to go from living with a partner to a completely silent house. I opened our home to her before I found out why her marriage didn't work out. Now that the two of us have had multiple conversations about it, I'm a little uncomfortable. There was no infidelity. There was no big scandal. What she told me is that her husband wasn't having sex with her enough. The things she has been saying have floored me. She says without sex, the two of them were basically just like roommates. She said she had been pushing for him to get a hormone imbalance test done because while they were still having sex, it wasn't enough. She said he had begun resisting even normal touches from her because from his perspective, all she thought about was sex, which apparently isn't true. I'm not sure I believe that. I can elaborate in the comments, but overall it just left me feeling sad for her ex, and the disrespect of saying sex is the only thing that separates a partner from a roommate, not even a friend. I've done my best to be supportive, but I can't relate to the thought process at all. If my partner told me tomorrow that he wasn't up for sex for the next few weeks, months, or longer, I would just take care of myself and respect that. I love him and I want him to be the person I do life with forever. This all came to a head last night. My husband and I were having a typical lazy Saturday night, catching up on some shows and chatting while we lounge on the couch. His legs were in my lap and I was kind of absent-mindedly massaging his feet and rubbing his ankles. This was an innocent gesture. My sister came in, saw me doing it, and made a joke along the lines of, "Ah, Opus, I didn't know you were into feet, or I didn't know you had a foot fetish." The exact wording escapes me. I couldn't help but feel put off at her sexualizing the gesture. Intimacy can be sexual, but it doesn't have to be. I told her so, and then said, referring to her divorce, "You sexualizing every interaction is why you're in the situation you are now." She called me a D and left the room. I already know it was a little harsh, but I'm unsure if it was tough love or too much. Am I the a-hole?